Squids Inc. at 1:20 this morning. Its top level ablaze, sparking fears it would be completely engulfed. Thankfully, firefighters were able to get the upper hand quickly, stopping the flames from destroying the lower-level restaurant.
The video looks really involved in fire, and the firefighters done a great job to contain it to that front and stop it from spreading to the rest of the building.
Amazingly, the blaze was under control in minutes. 20 people had to be evacuated from the attached motel.
We were on scene within 5 minutes. We had 12 appliances and approximately 50 firefighters on scene.
In the light of day, crime scene officers began their investigation, sifting through the charred top-floor function centre, while a dog trained in detecting accelerants was called in from Sydney. Dozens of locals also stopped by today to survey the damage to a lakeside institution.
A little bit sad because it'll take a long time to get it back on its feet again once it is going.
We heard what happened to Squids on the news this morning, and one of our daughters got married 18 years ago today over there and had a reception there, so it's sad.
Management says the fire is a huge setback, and the crushing reality is that it could be 12 months before the function centre reopens. 5 weddings were booked in before Christmas. Squids Inc. manager Scott Johnston told NBN News, "We express our apologies to those with upcoming bookings. We are a family business and are devastated by this. We hope to come back bigger and better." Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
He was the man trusted by many thousands of people, but police allege Dr. Jeremy Coleman betrayed that trust many times over. The immunologist stands accused of assaulting 46 women from as far back as 1989. The Crown alleges Coleman told patients that he wished to perform an internal examination on them without a proper medical purpose, and that he stayed in the room and watched them get undressed, at times commenting, "You're in good condition for your age," even asking them out for lunch. The 64-year-old is facing a total of 66 charges, including both indecent and sexual assault, the majority of the alleged offences committed at his surgery in inner-city Newcastle. The central issue in the trial is whether the alleged examinations were performed for a proper medical purpose. The Crown claims Coleman knew at the time they were. Allegation his defence team denies, claiming such examinations were necessary. Coleman has pleaded not guilty to all the charges, his barrister Pauline David telling the court that each and every allegation levelled against him is emphatically denied, and that the only purpose in treating and touching these patients was for a medical purpose. She described the immunologist as a highly trained specialist who always acted in the best medical interests of his patients. The trial is set to run for 6 months. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
The two initial thoughts are that she's suffered a medical episode, but at this stage we can't rule out mechanical failure.
It is by nature a noisy sport. But how loud is too loud?
Certainly the points that I think are almost a bit alarmist, or being made a little bit alarmist, that it would permanently damage your hearing. There's no proof of that, and there's no studies to that effect.
Supercars boss James Warburton today moved to reassure residents that noise levels for most properties surrounding the street circuit will fall within what's described as acceptable guidelines. For around 31 properties, they won't. Supercars Supercars is going door to door to advise those residents what they can do to manage the noise.
Things like the acoustic curtaining and other measures of just leaving windows at the front of the property shut all do a lot to actually sort of mitigate that noise level down a little bit.
One acoustic engineer working closely with concerned East End residents has done his own study.
The modelling that I've done, which is quite extensive predictive computer noise modelling, and that's using EPA approved software, shows that sound exposure levels outside people's premises around the race circuit could be as high as 109 decibels. Basically, it's bordering on the threshold of pain and certainly within the realm of concern for permanent hearing damage.
Some residents in the East End who've been most vocal in their opposition to the race have now gone to ground, telling NBN News they've been receiving threats. At least 150,000 people are expected to flock to Newcastle over the 3 days of racing. Another grandstand will be built at Camp Shortland to accommodate the masses. And Aussie pop twins, the Veronicas, have been added to the list of entertainers.
I think that this event will be, no doubt the biggest event that Newcastle's ever seen.
Construction of the circuit itself will start on October 16. Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
Looking across the port there up towards the city, you can see it'll be wonderful for families. They'll be able to take time out. Stockton's a beautiful part of Newcastle anyway. This will just be a big improvement for Griffith Park.
By looking at what's happening with the supply of water and the way we use water, it's also telling us a lot about important issues such as sustainability and the future use of water as well.
July 2016, Martin Broad's life changed forever in the space of 48 hours. Here he is in intensive care, paralysed, only able to move his eyes.
I do remember coming to in ICU, and the things that were obvious to me was, yes, a lack of movement and an inability to speak, but was conscious. I knew that I had my eyes and I could blink, and that then became my primary mode of communication for the next couple of months.
Yeah. He was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, a rare autoimmune condition doctors say was sparked by a bout of gastro.
At that point in time, I honestly still thought it would just be something that would pass. I thought in a couple of days everything would be all right.
Martin spent the next 5 months in ICU on life support and fed through a tube. He's now in a rehabilitation hospital where his gutsy approach to the daily grind of physio has made him a star pupil.
Marty's a very determined patient. He's always keen to get up into rehab. He's come so far from when he came in and he couldn't move, and then now he's seen where he's up to and doing a lot more. Still got a long path ahead of him though.
An accountant by profession, rehab has now become his full-time job. Every movement is excruciatingly difficult and progress is slow as Martin relearns the daily skills we take for granted, like getting out of bed or having a drink. But he's determined, and this is why. Family, 3 young boys who desperately want Dad to come home.
They miss Martin. They'd love him to be home. I'd love him to be home. It's been hard.
So many milestones have been marked in hospital. Christmas, Marty's 40th birthday, and an outing for his youngest son's first day of school.
How much are you looking forward to going home?
Oh, can't wait, Tash. Can't wait. You know, waking up next to Amanda, having the boys come and pile in, and all the hugs and kisses, you know.
The family is waiting for NDIS approval for equipment and carers, but there are so many other costs. Friends have now set up an appeal. A GoFundMe campaign called Stand With Martin has set a goal of $100,000.
That'll help with Martin's ongoing rehabilitation. It's going to be a very costly exercise to keep helping him progress.
What I'm able to achieve is because of others. The support that's emerged out there has been immense. It's humbling, very humbling. And it gives me hope, it gives me motivation.
Doctors can't predict what the future holds for Martin, but getting home is a big step, and he's ready.
It's been a long stay for me, so I'm delighted that home is on the horizon.
Awesome. That's great.
This is just the very beginning of it, and you know we've got a massive cycle coming up with the World Cups and the Olympics, and it's just the start of it. And to get the Australian public on board so early while we're starting that campaign is incredible.
Back on the training paddock following Saturday's 2-1 win over Sydney FC, the Jets weren't getting carried away with the result.
Well, it's always nice to win, isn't it? But you know, we're trying to keep our feet on the ground. It's a pre-season match, but it's always, I guess, good to create a winning culture by winning games, no matter what game it is or what level.
This weekend, Newcastle will welcome the Wellington Phoenix to town for a final pre-season clash against A-League opposition. Even a win in that fixture won't change the focus for the Jets.
We want to keep our standards high as possible, but you know, you don't need to go advertising it, saying that we're going to win. We're guaranteeing anything. Anything we'll guarantee is hard work and commitment.
Defender Nikolai Topor-Stanley says the team still has time to improve and adapt to coach Ernie Merrick's style. But does he believe the attacking mindset will help him add to his tally of 7 A-League goals?
Each year, you know, I aim high. I don't seem to really deliver on that, but you know, I'll still go in there the mentality of scoring goals.
Who's the team to beat in this year's WNBL season?
Us. I'm always going to back us.
One street, two very different situations. Traffic bedlam at one end, a vacant construction site at the other. The two faces of a rapidly changing city, now in the midst of light rail construction.
I know it's disruptive and I know it's inconvenient, but we are trying to make the city a better place.
From this morning, the entire block of Hunter Street between Derby and Auckland Streets was closed to motorists. However, pedestrian access remains the same. Traffic is now being diverted onto King Street.
We've decided that we'll do a zone closure and we'll divert traffic around that. That'll give us the best opportunity to get in and out as quickly as possible.
The impact was felt immediately. The commute along King Street, long and frustratingly slow. An accident between a car and a fire truck, only adding to frustration. It's not only road users who will be disrupted by the light rail construction. Local shops and businesses will also likely be impacted. But the message to customers is the city is still open for business.
In the end, I think everyone will look back and say that was really worth the wait.
In the meantime, residents can have a say on moves to rezone the old rail corridor between Worth Place and Watt Street for public recreation and development. The proposal is on public exhibition until the end of the year. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
Returning to base after a morning patrol. Rural Fire Service members doing their best to monitor a burning landscape.
We're just assessing a couple of fires that we have, one in Cessnock and one in the Dungog area.
It's a vital precaution ahead of dangerous conditions tomorrow.
So we're looking at the mid-30s, very low relative humidity and some strong westerly winds. And you put those three combinations together with our dry fuel and we're looking at a fairly serious fire day tomorrow.
The priority, the 835-hectare Heaton's Lookout blaze at Freeman's Waterhole that's now been burning for 10 days. Firefighters say they're working closely with forestry officials.
Given tomorrow's conditions, we're just having an assessment of that fire to have a look at containment options.
Today, firefighters were also kept busy by a blaze at Richmond Vale, south of Kurri Kurri, believed to have been sparked by a car fire. It's all prompted a reminder for residents to prepare their properties for the bushfire season. To help, the RFS will host a Get Ready event this weekend at various local brigades.
They're there to offer people a bit of advice and also have a look at the station and see what they do.
For more information, head to the RFS website. Talia Sarv, NBN News.
I'll be interested in hearing from the new council and see how they are approaching the project. And in particular, I'll be wanting to know what their contribution is going to be.
It's a global movement getting the elderly out and about. These trio bikes, ridden by volunteers, are part of a program called Cycling Without Age.
It's just designed to combat loneliness and get people out and about in their community.
Novacare operates 2 bikes, taking seniors for rides in Newcastle and Lake Macquarie.
It's the storytelling, it's the sharing of ideas, they're the important things. But being outside, a lot of people are very homebound, and our service supports people to live at home. So an important way of supporting people to stay at home is to get them out and about.
Similar programs are run in 30 countries around the world. It's an idea that was born in Denmark, a creation of Frederick's aunt. To spread the word, this group of 5 Danish mates will cycle more than 2,000 kilometres from Newcastle to Melbourne and hopefully Hobart.
Where we're going to be stopping at local Cycling Without Age chapters, and we're going to be giving old people some rides on these bikes, on these trikes.
As well as sampling some of our national delicacies, these Danes are keen to see the sights.
Seeing kangaroos and some of the maybe more rough terrain of Australia that we've seen on, TV.
The group is due in Mudgee in 5 days for their first major stop, so they'd better get on their bikes.
They're going to be fit by the end of it.
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
Cricket's gentleman is enduring a tough spell. Last August, Dutchie Holland was bashed at the ground he curates for his local club. Then in April, the 70-year-old had surgery to remove a brain tumour.
I think he's travelling along okay. He obviously has his moments with the treatment, the drug treatment he's going through. So it really depends on at what stage, whether he's just taking it or it's the back end of it. So it's sort of very much an ebb and flow situation for him at the moment.
The Hunter leg spinner famously earned his first baggy green at the age of 38. Since then, he's given plenty back to the sport, especially close to home.
He's done basically all the roles you can think of in a cricket club. But not only that, it's obviously the impact he's had in the local association, the Hunter region for cricket in total. So it's very hard to equate the impact he's really had over the last 3 or 4 decades.
This Friday, former Test captain Mark Taylor will host a benefit night to raise money for Holland's treatment and the Mark Hughes Foundation. Interviewing a host of cricket identities including Wayne Phillips, Rick McCosker and Trevor Chappell.
It's been pretty much overwhelming. There's a lot of people who have unfortunately not been able to make it and been quite disappointed not to come along, and that's the reputation of Dutchie. But I tell you, we're getting quite a number now of auction items coming in for the night.
Mark Nicholas and David Boone are among the absentees, so they've sent messages of support from overseas.
Dutchie, you're very firmly in my thoughts and in the thoughts of a lot of people in England.
Dutch, it started with gin and tonic.
It ended up with a few wickets. But, mate, more importantly, what a great friend you were and a teammate to all of us.
Organisers are hoping to attract a crowd of around 350 people. So far, around 150 tickets have been sold. For more information, go to the Toronto Workers website and follow the links to A Night with Dutchie.
Back in the Supercars series and back to endurance racing.
Your car speed is important, but it's not the be-all to end-all. It's all about where you are at the end of the day and being smart and a bit of luck and playing to your advantages.
For Aaron Russell, Sandown is the ideal start to a campaign that will take him to the Newcastle 500.
I've always just clicked with the place. I just feel like the more aggression you kind of give the curbs and the corners and stuff, the more you get out of it. So I feel like it just clicks with my driving style a lot.
It's also a different dynamic, competing in pairs.
I've known Taz, my co-driver, for a long time now, so I'm feeling very confident in him and we get along kind of like a house on fire. So I'm happy to be partnered with him.
After a few modifications, he's confident the car will race well too, but knows there's always more work to be done.
I would love to find out a team that's rolled out there and hasn't touched their car on a weekend. I'd like to know their secret, and then I'd like to do that as well.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
Keeping physically fit and healthy, they're the obvious benefits for exercising.
But at St Francis Xavier Primary in Belmont, they're using it to promote teamwork and cooperations.
Skills to take back inside the classroom.
I think team sports particularly are really important for kids so that they can actively work together. To learn what it's like to work as a team is really important for success in the future.
It started when Year 6 teacher Leanne Treadwell thought her class needed a jump start in the mornings.
The idea of a fitness circuit that we're doing in Year 6, they spend a minute and a half at each task and then we move on, 30 seconds recovery and then we're into it again.
But the benefits of a morning workout don't stop there. It's taken home.
Learn how to be active so they're not lazy and they can get out and do something.
To watch the full story or get your school involved, head to our website and we could be coming to your school.
I'm Pharrell Trainer.
I'm Sophie Cherka.
Reporting to you
for NBN News Junior Journos.
Flames leap from dry bushland, sending plumes of thick black smoke into the air. Richmond Vale near Kurri Kurri covered in haze, the looming threat clear from above. What started as a small bushfire yesterday today flared out of control. Wind gusts up to 80 kilometres per hour fanned the blaze across containment lines towards nearby properties.
The winds are just playing havoc. The winds are going one way and then they're picking up. They'd have to be 50-kilometre winds. The job they're doing is absolute sensational, but how do you control this?
Right here is a terrifying example of how strong winds and dry conditions are proving a nightmare for firefighters. Just 10 minutes ago, this patch near Orchard Road at Richmond Vale was untouched by fire. Firefighters did their best to stay on top of spot fires as embers went flying.
No, we just got sprinklers everywhere trying to water what we can, but you can see it's obvious surrounded us and just got to hope it blows the wrong way, that's all, and gives us a chance.
The Railway Museum on Leckett's Drive found itself in the firing line in a matter of minutes, the flames damaging a number of historical items. How are you feeling at the moment?
Frustrated, helpless, sitting there watching it and there's nothing I can do. I mean, the fire is on the job, but there's nothing I can do.
As the weather conditions deteriorated, an emergency warning was issued and RFS tanker Thor took to the air for the first time this season.
We've got approximately 100 firefighters on the ground today working with aerial support and are looking at containment options into the night.
Firefighters weren't the only ones feeling the heat, saving a baby possum from his now scorched home. Further east at Black Hill, fire crews with aerial support tried to contain another blaze. The local primary school was evacuated as a precaution.
Arrested in November 2016 during a series of police raids, 24-year-old Jason Gibson stands accused of a string of drug and firearm offences. Taken into custody at a Gilliston Heights home, today he appeared in Newcastle local court via video link from Cessnock Jail and was committed to stand trial on 35 charges. They include possessing both an unauthorised and unregistered firearm, supplying a firearm and supplying a prohibited drug. Gibson was arrested by detectives from Strike Force Will Wyndham, set up to investigate alleged organised crime across the Hunter, with raids also carried out at Raymond Terrace, Rutherford and Talara. According to court documents, he allegedly tried to supply both drugs and firearms to an undercover officer at a Raymond Terrace fast food restaurant. Gibson remains in custody at Cessnock Correctional Centre ahead of his next appearance in Newcastle District Court next month, where he'll formally enter pleas to the charges. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
After 8 months of preparations in Newcastle Harbour, today it was time for the Ruark to hit the open water. On board, a crew of 12 volunteers bound for Papua New Guinea to deliver medical services and training.
A mixture of dental, optometry,
medical education and primary health care, along with mum and kid care with vaccinations.
This is where the crew will call home for the next 2 weeks as they head towards Townsville before continuing on to Papua New Guinea. The lead up to the mission wasn't all smooth sailing for organising charity YWAM. On Sunday, an unauthorised member of the public climbed onto the medical outreach vessel, scaled its mast, then fell.
You can't predict an event like that, but you always you review security, at that time. Pleased to report that the young man's doing very, very well. I spoke to him yesterday, and so we're ready to go. Now we're looking ahead.
Despite battling strong winds, the Ruark managed to leave Newcastle at midday for its 2-month voyage. One that's sure to change many lives in PNG as well as those of the crew. Emma Murphy, NBN News.
It's easy to see why Jets fans are excited. But it's unlikely Patricio Rodriguez is coming down under. Merrick today remained tight-lipped about who will be, but he slammed reports the deal was done with Rodriguez. It's understood he was never top of the list.
From the outset, I've said the number one choice, and to Joel and Laurie, and they've been working through the list, and they've made it clear to whoever they're dealing with, clubs or agents, that there is a short list. It's not just one person.
Merrick says the club is getting close to securing a marquee player who should be signed and delivered by early next week, and they'll arrive fit.
There'll certainly be a high quality player. I was looking for someone with good experience, maybe at European level, South American level and international level, and someone that's not just got one particular string to their bow.
It all follows a positive pre-season win over Sydney FC.
It was a friendly game, we'll leave it at that, but there's promising signs regarding performance.
The coach will give plenty of younger players a chance against Wellington on Saturday, as well as a few regulars. Among the inclusions, Jason Hoffman and Nick Cowburn. The joy's yet to wear off after their grand final win, but the Jaffers already have another reason to celebrate, with their captain staying.
Halfway through the season, I was contemplating whether I wanted to be at Lambton again, and I've addressed a few things that didn't really sit well with me. And yeah, obviously a grand final win at the end of the day is only going to help the cause. My decision wasn't solely based on that. I haven't played at any other local club, so I'd say that's the way it'll stay.
Wheelhouse pushed through serious injury during the final series. The ankle's all right.
I can walk now, which is good.
It goes to show just how badly he wanted and still wants to win.
It's obviously a step down to what us ex-professionals are used to, but at the end of the day, a grand final is a grand final, and competitive juices continue to burn inside.
Talks to lock down the rest of the squad are happening this week. Wheelhouse is also hosing down speculation he'll take on a coaching role.
I don't think I'd be a coach for Quids, to be honest. I enjoy coaching the young kids with my business, but in terms of being a full-time head coach in the local league, I think they can have that.
And reporter Talia Sav joins us live now from Richmond Vale. Talia, what's the situation on the fire ground tonight?
Well, Paul, fortunately for residents, the fire has since been downgraded from emergency to watch and act. Northwesterly winds have shifted attention away from property south of Leggett's Drive at Richmond Vale. The RFS says its focus is now on using a nearby fire trail as a containment line, and volunteers will work through the night to control the blaze. Meanwhile, they'll also continue to work on that fire at Black Hill. Back to you.
The immediate threat may be gone, but the damage has already been done.
To see it as they are now, it's heartbreaking.
Counting the cost of a fire which showed the Richmond Vale Railway Museum little mercy.
It was totally unstoppable. We've probably lost about 80% of the rolling stock that's being stored on site.
Hours of painstaking restoration work went up in flames. Heritage railway items, from carriages and coal wagons to timber sleepers, were left charred and twisted. The volunteer organisation is facing an estimated damage bill of more than $1 million.
We've got to keep going. You just can't say, well, OK, we'll give up. Firefighters here yesterday never give up. Why should we?
Nor did they give up overnight, working tirelessly to gain the upper hand against the fire, which flared yesterday morning amid heat and howling winds. Police are now investigating whether all of this was caused by this, a car which was set alight out in bushland on Tuesday. In the meantime, RFS crews remain vigilant.
We've got crews out on all the trails, mopping up, 2 hose lengths in, so that if that wind strengthens this afternoon, hopefully it won't jump over the containment lines.
The danger period hopefully over for now.
24 hours in this country, it can be so cruel.
Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
For the Mammock siblings, this family smash repairs business has been far more than a job. Started by their father in 1975, it's been a second home ever since.
My brother and my sister have been involved in the business for over 40 years and they're ready to retire and get out of it. Myself, I've been involved for 30 years and as the youngest, I think it's time for me to relocate and move on.
While it's not the end for the business, the move is making way for this. 40 boutique apartments boasting a mix of 1, 2 and 3 bedroom options.
In 5 or 10 years' time, you won't recognise the street. There's going to be a lot of apartments, a lot of commercial, cafes and everything. I think it's going to be another Beaumont Street.
Meanwhile, there's also change on the horizon at Mount Hutton, with a $58 million redevelopment of Lake Macquarie Fair and Mount Hutton Plaza given the green light. It will include a new entry to the centre and a dining precinct. Work on the car park is currently underway. Major construction is expected to start late next year. Emma Murphy, NBN News.
It's set to become a special place at Jesmond Public.
protectively nestled under the broad canopy of the school's much-loved fig tree.
For children who are feeling a bit down, who don't have anyone to talk to sit down and have someone to come over and talk about whatever they need.
The conversation bench, provided by mental health initiative Lifespan Newcastle, was unveiled for Are You OK Day.
We're a very interesting school, an exciting school. We've got kids from over 27 different cultural backgrounds here that have lots and lots of stories to tell, and to provide them with a space where they can share those stories comfortably and safely, I think is important for us.
If we can, I guess, teach our kids to ask, are you okay, and to kind of know what to do when someone says that they're not okay, that is a skill for life.
Elsewhere, Are You OK Day was marked at Mayfield with a simple roadside tribute where the popular man in the doorway once sat. Bernie Sessions took his own life in June. Supporters today waved to passing motorists. At Merriweather, tradies downed tools temporarily for a barbecue and a chat, while a sausage sizzle at the NBN studios allowed staff to check in with each other.
One of the most important things we can do in terms of suicide prevention is to reach out and talk to people, not just when things are tough.
And if you or someone you know needs help, you can call Lifeline on 13 11 14.
Weir is racing royalty, and that makes him a busy man. Between photo shoots and a guest speaking slot in Newcastle today, he barely had time to watch one of his runners at Bendigo in what was another win to his name.
Good omen for the weekend?
Yeah, well, we hope so. It's always nice to get a winner any day, really.
On first look, he likes the new Broadmeadow track.
I had a bit of a walk there before. That's a beautiful surface.
He wasn't as glowing about his chances of claiming the Gold Cup tomorrow.
We've got a horse in form, but I'm not sure he's good enough, but he's in form anyway.
The rain has boosted Pacadally's chances, but Weir knows the Irish horse will need to run even better than it has been to beat race favourite Destiny's Kiss.
It's not only that, there's others in the race that it would have been aimed towards it as well, so it'll be a tough enough sort of race, and obviously we've had to travel and you've got to get here in good shape, so there's still plenty of things that have got to fall into place.
It's a big weekend for Weir, who'll be racing himself back to Melbourne for Saturday's Maccabi Diva Stakes.
It's busy lifestyle, but yeah, I wouldn't do anything else.
Back on what was once their field of dreams. For Alex and Lachlan Wells, those dreams are becoming a reality.
Absolutely loving it. Every day's fun, even though you've got to sit through 14-hour bus trips sometimes.
Does it compare to being at home?
Oh, no. Being over there playing baseball, it's a lot better than being at home trying to find a job or going to uni.
Both brothers moved up a division this year and both made progress. For Alex, it came in a big way. His breakout campaign with 113 strikeouts saw him crowned Baltimore's minor league pitcher of the year.
That was an unreal experience to go out there and accept the award off Jim Palmer, the guy who it's named after. It was just unreal. It was awesome.
Lachlan's year wasn't as smooth. He was sidelined by an injury to his pitching arm.
Struggled a little bit, not being able to go and play pitch every 5 days. It was a bit of a grind. Got a little boring towards the end of it and struggled with that. Just got a little impatient. Just wanted to get back out on the field.
And after working hard, he did achieve that.
That season will help me in my progression going forward, having a little bit of adversity going up, and yeah, that'll help me.
Back home, the twins are reunited, but the next few months won't be a holiday. They'll put each other through pre-season training as they look to continue their rise through the ranks.
It always helps having Lachlan there with me, so we push each other. We don't have to worry about finding anyone. We got each other, which helps a lot.